Okay. Um, as Kerry's just said, I've been leading for Naturetrek for a number of years now, about 25, I think it is. And I've been whale watching all over the world. I've whale watched in every ocean. And I can honestly say that Baja, California, and the Sea of Cortez is the best whale watching I've ever experienced anywhere. It's during the course of the trip, you'll see hundreds of whales and thousands of dolphins, and that isn't an exaggeration. So whereabouts is Baja, California? Well, it's that little finger over on the west side of Mexico. You can see it sort of sticking down there. So that's the Baja Peninsula, and the Sea of Cortez is the enclosed sea between that and the Mexican mainland. And what we do is we sail all the way down it into the Sea of Cortez, and then we usually fly back from the bottom of the peninsula. We arrive in San Diego, and we have a full day to do whatever you like, but a lot of people like to go bird watching in the area, so we go and see various things, but I wasn't going to concentrate on that. This is an Anna's hummingbird, but it's one of many different species that we see bird watching on the day. But then we in the evening of that first day, we board the boat, the Searcher, and we start heading south, and we travel through the night and wake up in Mexico, and then we start watching things. Brown pelicans are one of the totemic birds of the trip. They are just, you see them every day. They're everywhere in huge numbers, and they're one that you sort of really grow to know and love. You can watch them hunting, and so very familiar. And another whale that I've seen on every single trip that I've led here is the fin whale, which is the second biggest whale in the world. I know that there are a few lookalikes, but one of the diagnostic features of fin whale is they have a white lower lip on the right side, so they don't have the same color of lower lip on both sides. And you think, well, how can you do that in the field? But when you're in a small boat, you can go to the right side and have a look and see, oh, yeah, there we go. That's a fin whale. It's got the white lower lip, and that eliminates the lookalikes like say whale as well. So, but it's it allows you to, because we're in no real hurry, we can spend time and really get to enjoy and absorb all these features, really get to know the whales that we're traveling down to see. Loads of birds. The birds are just phenomenal. Some of them are familiar, like sooty shearwaters that you've probably seen in Britain, and some of them are probably unfamiliar, like the tiny little Cassin's auklet that nests in burrows on most of the islands down there. We usually see two species of albatross, the big black-footed albatross here, and the Laysan albatross, which is a bit like a black-browed. But just to give you an idea of size, that western gull over on the right-hand side of the thing, of the screen, is about the same size as a great black-backed gull, and you can see that the albatross just absolutely dwarfs it. We often bump into rafts of wintering phalaropes on the sea. They're often a mixture. They're mainly redneck phalaropes, and they've actually found out that by radio tracking, that the phalaropes that breed in Shetland actually go across America and cut across the Central America and go and winter on the Pacific. So these could well be Shetland birds in amongst these. These are the redneck phalaropes, but also with a bit of scanning through the flocks, we can find the larger billed grey phalaropes as well, but they're always in winter plumage when you see them. Our first waterfall on day 2 is an island called San Benitos, which is a lovely little oceanic island. It's got a number of endemic plants, and it's also notable because it's got one of the strongest colonies of northern elephant seal in the world. There's really good numbers of these, and yeah, you can get up close and personal with them like this. There's a little fishing village that's only operational during the abalone season. And so the elephant seals just take over the whole place and just lounge around in the streets there. So, you know, it's quite an exciting thing to see. The males are really big and ugly, as you've seen, but the females have got a real beauty about them. Look at that enigmatic smile. It's like the Mona Lisa there, isn't it? There's also a really good population of ospreys on the island, several pairs of them. So you're seeing them all the time hunting around there. And And just to show you, there's an elephant seal in the bottom there, but that little thing in the middle of the rock there on the edge of the ocean, it's an osprey nest, and you could climb up to that just as easily as you climb a stairs. It's really, really good like that. There's also a unique bird on there, which is the San Benito sparrow, which doesn't occur anywhere else in the world. It used to be considered a subspecies of the savanna sparrow, but they've now decided that it's a species in its own right. It's a good species, so there it is, Passaculus sanctorum, the San Benito sparrow. And again, we have no problem finding those on the island. There's common seals, but there's also two species of sea lions. There's that's the Guadalupe fur seal, the one with the pointed nose looking at the boat, and the one over on the right is a California sea lion. Guadalupe fur seal is actually a very rare animal. It's only found on two places, San Benitos and Guadalupe Island, which is a little further out into the Pacific there. They have that pointed snout and soft fur all over, but that's quite a rare seal to be seeing. The waders you get on there, because it's rocky islands, you tend to get rocky coast waders, things like black turnstone and wandering tattler we usually see down there. And then when we finished on San Benitos, we get back on the boat, and it's quite warm weather. It's a great place to spend February, I'll tell you. And we just go there and see what turns up as we head south. And what we're really looking for here is dolphins and whales. And sometimes the dolphins come thick and fast. And the really fantastic experience is when you come across a super pod of dolphins. And sometimes there are thousands of them. It literally, as far as the eye can see, in all directions, the ocean is just effervescing with dolphins. This really doesn't capture the spirit of it, but really, they're just coming up and going down all over the place, everywhere you look. It's really, really brilliant to see. These are common dolphins, and there are two species of common dolphin. There's the short beak one, which is a deeper water oceanic species, and this is actually the one that we get in British waters, that we just call the common dolphin. And look how short its snout is, and it's got a kind face. And then there's one with a less kind face and a longer snout. And this is the long-beaked common dolphin, and this is the one that we commonly see. It's more of a tropical species, never recorded in Europe, and it's found in the shallower coastal waters. We also see lots of bottlenose dolphins, and these really are as acrobatic as you can imagine. Look at this; they just sort of leap right out of the water and show off and spin round for you. I took this picture of this one that just kept repeatedly leaping high above us on the boat. It must have been coming to a good 12 feet out of the water, and everybody's just lined up taking photographs of it as it kept reappearing for us. And they often follow the boat. Sometimes they ride alongside, sometimes they bow wave. But it's the photo opportunities of getting the dolphins leaping out of the water in perfect sunlight is just fantastic. There's three at once all leaping out of the water. That is quite a feat there. And there's a mother and baby leaping together. Again, you see lots of things like that. And this was quite interesting. So first of all, this was taken through the surface of the ocean. So this bottlenose dolphin was in the ocean. Now you can see it's got a remora fish there, one of these fish that just sort of attaches themselves. And it must be very annoying for the dolphin because it must really affect their hydrodynamics and get in the way. But you can see that another dolphin there with the teeth marks has been trying to get the remora off. And no matter what they do, they just lie flat and they're a bit sort of slimy. So the dolphins can't get rid of them. But you can see it's tried there. Now there's one of the theories is that the really energetic dolphins that really leap out of the water and spin are trying to actually get rid of these remora fish. And there's a picture of one that I managed to take. You can just see that huge remora fish on the side, and the dolphin that's leaping the highest is the one with the remora. But when you just look at the dolphins, when it's clear water, these are all off the front of the boat. There's not a remora to be seen there. So I think that there might be something in that theory. But look at this. This is all taken through the mirror calm Pacific Ocean with, it looks like an airbrushed painting, that, doesn't it? But those are all the common dolphins just alongside our boat. And that's, yeah, one final shot of the common dolphins just leaping in unison alongside the boat. But, you know, opportunities like this have just come thick and fast on this trip. Our next venue is a place called San Ignacio Lagoon, and there's the boat with one of the crew members having a chat with a grey whale there. Now, San Ignacio Lagoon is a coastal lagoon with access to the Pacific Ocean, and almost all of the world's grey whales travel down the Pacific coast of America and spend the winter in these lagoons. And what they do here is they mate here and they give birth here. That's why all the males come again to mate and the females come to give birth. And the reason, and then they go all the way back up to Alaska where they feed in the cold waters, but the babies are born without any blubber. So if they were born in the cold waters of the north, they would die of cold, so that's why they come down to the warmer waters. And wherever you look, you can just see whales blowing in San Ignacio Lagoon. There's literally hundreds of them, and that's one of them spy hopping right next to our boat here. But and that's the thing. So it's 3,000 miles from the San Ignacio Lagoon up to the feeding grounds in Alaska, and then 3,000 miles back. And they're constantly on the move, just spending a few months in Alaska and usually a couple of months down in Baja, and the rest of the time it's in transit on migration. And it's the largest migration of any known mammal on the planet. The really good thing about this population of whales is that they like attention. If you go in a boat, they come up to the boat to see what's going on, and look at the joy on people's faces as a huge great whale just comes out of the water to say hello. And the youngsters are incredibly friendly. This is a young one that hasn't got any of the barnacles and things on it yet, but it comes up to one side of the boat to be stroked. And look at this next picture and tell me that this whale isn't enjoying it. Look, it's like a cat or a dog being stroked, isn't it? It's just closing its eyes and relishing the moment there. So this habit only started in 1976, and the people who discovered it were thinking, oh no, you know, we're interfering with the whale's behavior, and they tried to move away, and the whales just kept following, and then others started to join in, and now it's a really common thing. And some people have it on their bucket list that they'd like to kiss a whale, and that's indeed what this young lady's doing. Is she sort of leaned over and kissed the whale. That's another picture of another boat with the whales in between. The whales come to you as well. We don't really have to go seeking out the whales. And this one was after a tongue scratch. It opened its mouth and let me put my hand in and scratch its tongue. And when it closed its mouth, it accidentally just caught my arm a little bit, and it opened it up as if, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hurt you. You know, they're so gentle and soft when you touch them as well. You think that it would be like a hard tire from a car, but it's not. It's like a balloon with water. They're really soft and squidgy. And there's one just under the surface of the lagoon, just sort of watching and waiting for a bit of attention here. So, and I took this picture at night because the whales are active all night, and you can feel them rubbing themselves against the anchor ropes of the boat and things like that. And that was just a random flash photograph that ended up catching, I think there's 3 whales in view in that one picture there. And that's another picture. I went to the top and looked down, and there's just a whale just alongside of the boat. But this happens all the time. All around the edge of San Ignacio Lagoon, there's some mangroves, and we sometimes have a break from the whales and go and have a look at the wildlife in the mangroves. Absolutely full of the herons, all the kind of things that you see in Florida, and you know, the herons and waders, things like reddish egrets and black-crowned night heron, yellow-crowned night heron, lots of other species as well, and willets and yellowlegs and dowitchers, marble godwits, long-billed curlews. It's really, really good for birds in those mangroves. You also get mangrove warbler as well, which is one to see, and loads of royal terns down there. These are the American royal terns, which have been split from the African ones, but again, super abundance of those. And you get Caspian terns as well, lots and elegant terns as well. Leaving San Ignacio Lagoon and heading south, this is a shrimp boat, and look at all those birds around it. And look, they're all actually lined up on the rigging, and those are all frigate birds. And the reason why they line up on there is because they can't land on water because they don't have webbed feet. So if they landed on the water, they can't get the purchase to get airborne again. So what they do is they land on boats, and this is even our little boat, and you can see frigate birds lined up there. Again, the owners don't usually like them doing this because they defecate all over the boat, you see, so they try and scare them off, but they just come back. And there's one, a male there with the great throat pouch, because they're not on a breeding ground, they're not inflating that, but you can certainly see the throat pouch there. Other birds that you see when you start getting to warmer water, this is a masked booby. They're quite scarce birds, but we usually see, 2 or 3 of them when we go down. Red-billed tropic bird, another scarcish bird, but again, I've never failed to find them down there. And we also see turtles, plenty of turtles, usually green turtle and loggerhead, but I have seen Kent Ridleys down there as well. And sometimes they sort of just fall asleep at the surface and we can sneak up on them and get them very close, but they're a little bit shy because I think people have taken them for turtle soups and things like that. So this is the largest bony fish in the world. This is the ocean sunfish. Its scientific name is mola mola, and mola is the Latin word for a grinding stone, one of those flat stones that you sharpen blades on. So and these things can be as big as a dustbin lid, even bigger than that, and just sort of lie at the surface there, gazing at the sun. That's why they get the name sunfish there. Sometimes you get terns landing on them, just sitting on them, and they also let birds come and peck the parasites off them. Then we head down to the southern tip of Baja, and this is where all the humpback whales breed. And because they're breeding there, they're all getting excited and doing interesting things. And this was just diving right by the boat. That's actually the back of my head. Somebody else took this photograph, but it was just quite dramatic with the whale there in focus and my head sort of looking at it straight away there. So when I said they do interesting things, sometimes they lie on the back and what we call flipper flop. They just sort of whack their pectoral fins on the surface of the water. They do tail splashes like this. That was down at the bottom of Baja. Sometimes it's like doing the butterfly stroke at the surface. They make huge wheezing noises and they go and they paddle. You can see the pectoral fins out there as they're paddling across the surface, but huge great males competing for the females here. And of course they breach as well. It's a great place to see breaching humpback whales. And again, I've taken many photographs of very dramatic breaches like this. This is another one that everybody wants to get the photograph of. Then we head round the corner into the Sea of Cortez, and this is a nice, usually very calm and nice weather. And we visit several of the islands in here. We usually see these spiny tail mobulas here, which are actually a kind of manta ray. And what they do is sometimes, for no apparent reason, they leap out of the water and then just splat down. And the noise seems to set everything off. And it's like a chain reaction. One starts and then a few go. And then all of a sudden, there's dozens of them going up and down all over the place. There's a picture of 2 of them simultaneously just leaping out of the water. And they make sure that they're absolutely flat to make the maximum noise to splat on the water there. That's a great thing to witness. We see various species of sharks. I've seen thresher shark, mako shark, hammerhead shark, and we also go and swim with whale sharks down in the Sea of Cortez as well. So as long as the weather's calm enough for us to get into the water, we can go and swim with whale sharks. There's a small population of them down there where the captain knows where they are. On the islands, various interesting birds like roadrunner actually doing its running there, and more familiar birds from North America like cardinal, but also its rarer cousin, which is the Pyrrhuloxia. I put the scientific name on the bottom there because those of you that know about scientific names will see that that's a combination of bullfinch, Pyrrhula, and loxia, which is crossbill. So essentially its Latin name means bullfinch crossbill, and I think that's quite an appropriate name when you see that funny little beak on it. I managed to get both of the orioles that you see down there together. The top one is Scott's oriole, the big yellow rump, and the orange one below is hooded oriole. there. There's Costa's hummingbird, and there's also an endemic hummingbird that only occurs on Baja Peninsula, and that's Xantu's hummingbird, this one with the red and black beak and the white eye stripe. But again, we see that usually several places. This is one of the rock formations in the Sea of Cortez, and here there's a colony of sea lions, but also a breeding colony of various boobies. This is blue-footed booby that breeds there, and brown booby as well, but and the ubiquitous brown pelican as well. But there's also an opportunity to go swimming with sea lions here, which is really exciting, actually. And once when I took these pictures with a really cheap underwater camera, and when I was under watching the sea lions, I thought, oh, somebody's chucked a football in, and they found this football that they're playing in, and they were passing it from one to the other and playing around with this football. Then when I got a bit closer, I realized it wasn't a football. It was a guinea fowl pufferfish that had inflated itself to try and protect itself, and the sea lions were just playing with it. And when the sea lions left it alone, this is a very disgruntled looking guinea fowl pufferfish here. Again, we always get an opportunity to see the phosphorescent plankton as well, the bioluminescence. When it's a really dark night with no moon, he drives around in the dark, and the engine and the pitch of the engine attracts dolphins to come and bow ride. And it's the most amazing thing. I actually contrived this on Photoshop to try and show what it's like, because it's so difficult to photograph with those light conditions. But basically, the dolphins glow in the dark. You can see them underwater as they move through and agitate the plankton, which then flash and light it up. But then they leap out of the water and they vanish completely. It's completely black, and then they go down into the water again and reappear. But that really is, of all the great wildlife experiences I've had, bioluminescent dolphins is right up there at the top. Also in the Sea of Cortez, we sometimes see sperm whales, and again, we've been lucky. This is one spy hopping. That's the mouth below. But sometimes we've been lucky enough to see them breaching, and you see that great big sort of bulbous head on there. And look at that. These are all breaching sperm whales, and then splash into the water. Really exciting stuff. And also, we usually see, well, more often than sperm whales, actually, the rare dwarf sperm whale, these ones that you see in whale books, but you very rarely see in real life. And there they are floating at the surface. But again, that's usually fairly guaranteeable on this trip. And this is Brooder's whale. It's spelled bride's whale, but pronounced Brooder's. It's a rare tropical whale, and it has these three ridges down the front of its rostrum, the snout. You can just about see them there, but it's it's just a nice whale to see. But the one that everybody wants to see is the biggest whale animal that's ever lived on the planet, up to 34 meters long and weighing up to 190 tons. This is the blue whale. And again, we always see lots of blue whales, not just in the Sea of Cortez, sometimes on the outside as well. So this is a mother and a baby, and the reason why she's looking thin, you can see her vertebra there, is because she's still suckling the youngster, so that uses up all her fat reserves. So the youngster has a big fat body, and she's got a thin body, but she's looking after the youngster there. And when a blue whale has been diving, the first blow that it does when it comes up can be up to 10 meters tall, really, really massive. And but then after that, the subsequent blows are usually smaller, but I managed to catch the big 10-meter blow there. And they have a sonar on the boat that enables them to see the whales underwater. And you can see this one, the depth is 84.5 fathoms. That's a ball of krill above it, and you can see the whale shape there underneath. But what he does is the captain then knows exactly where the whale's going to appear, and he can position the boat, and he'll say, it's coming up any minute now, and up the whale comes, and there's a blue whale with people enjoying it right alongside. And there's about 3,000 in the Eastern Pacific, which is about a third of the entire global population of blue whales. So probably the best place on the planet to see blue whales. I tried to do an extreme wide angle here to make the largest animal that's ever lived on the planet look small on the planet. And that's what I was doing there, just experimenting a bit. And they don't all fluke show their tails when they dive. But when we find one that does, the captain often follows it and gets the right angle so that you can get the all the photographs you want. You can see that tiny little dorsal fin at the on the back there, and the huge great tail fluke. And it's traditional to end on sunsets. This is a blue whale going down in the sunset. And when you've taken the blue whale in the sunset, you have to show them. And here's another one just about to go down as the sun's going down. And the absolute final one is the little green flash. We have lots of opportunity to see the green flash when the sun finally sets. That's it. Thank you very much.